that we've just kind of learned to conserve as much as possible. And yeah, we just we had to get rid of it's that moment, that mental clarity of what is important in life, and it turns out stuff wasn't important, that it was the experience that was important. So just chasing these experiences, and just feeling better about it.
Yeah. This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November, and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more.
I just want to take a moment and thank my guest again for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I also need to thank Buzzsprout for hosting this podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her amazing music genius, for Becca Coffron and her beautiful artwork. And I'd like to thank you for listening. Please check out the show notes. I'm going to have links posted in there if you would like to follow this guest and learn more about them. Thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.
Struggle.
Grounded in Maine podcast is an open conversation about how we show up for the world. I started this podcast out of a desire to learn new ways to be sustainable, because the word sustainability is big. It can be overwhelming, and I just wanted to learn different ways to try to be part of the solution and not feel like it's too late. So I am talking to people who are doing different things and learning so much. I hope that you are too. Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan. My guest today is Michael Andersen, and oh my gosh, what a great time we had. Michael is so interesting. He is currently traveling the United States in an RV, and with his partner and his little pug dog, whose name is Bruce Lee. Just an interesting fact. And he's gained so much insight from this adventure. It's so cool. I could have talked to him for so long, and you probably would have gotten tired of it, but I would have loved it. Anyway, I'm going to let Michael tell you more about his adventures, but so Michael he's traveling, of course. His end game is to find a place that he wants to settle down. And I'm kind of hoping it's Maine, because I really had fun with him and I'd love to hang out again. But so he has changed his diet. He has changed his space. He said that he was living in a 3,500 square foot home just with himself, and now he's in 188 square foot RV. And he loves it. One of my great takeaways was that, he said he grew up in Chicago, and he was like, why would I leave Chicago? Everything is here. It's all within walking distance, all the restaurants, all the stores, everything. And now he's in an RV, and like everything is right there, literally. But anyway, I just really, really enjoyed it. And he had so much more insight than I had expected, and I just love those fun surprises. So anyway, I'm going to get to this, and I hope that you really enjoy it as much as I did. If you love this podcast, please feel free to share it. Please feel free to rate and review wherever you're listening. That just helps to get this podcast in front of new listeners. And if you don't love it, please let me know, because I'd love to make it more for you. Just, give me a shout. If you have anything that you'd like to add, if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please let me know. You can go to the link in my bio and you can fill out the guest form, or you can just let me know and I'll send you the guest form. So I'm going to get to Michael now. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. My guest today is Michael Andersen. Michael, how are you today?
Doing great, Amy. Thanks for having me on.
Good deal. I'm glad to hear that. I was really thrilled to hook up with you. You have a really cool idea that you are working on. Your Instagram is called Traveling Gatherings, which I'm all for. But you do all kinds of stuff. Right now you are traveling the country in an RV.
I am.
And you're in Michigan?
Yep, we're in Western Michigan. We just actually hit our 1-year nomad anniversary. So we've officially been on the road for 1 year. And yeah, it's been amazing. We've been to 33 states, been in every topography you can imagine. And what's funny is we are originally from the Midwest and we're back in the Midwest. And we're like, this is kind of our jam. We miss it a little bit. So it's, it feels good to be home, if you will. Although it's not forever, but we're here right now.
So. Yeah. Well, and you're in an RV, so you're always home, right?
Correct. Yep.
And now, is that your home? Did you sell stuff and this is where you're?
Yeah. So as long story as short as possible, girlfriend and I met in Chicago. I'm born and raised in Chicago. Lived there my entire life up till mid-40s. We moved. I got a job transfer to Asheville, North Carolina, which was this amazing, beautiful mountain town. I was burnt out on city living. We went there, and a year to the day that we moved there, we moved out into an RV, and we've been on the road ever since. So, it's a huge challenge going from 1,400 square feet to 188 square feet. But it's been absolutely amazing. So just letting the wind blow whatever direction we're headed. And it's been tons of memories. It's been great.
Yeah. For me, I think that would be super fun. I'm really attached to stuff, and I have a touch of the hoarder gene. So I think that would be hard. But at the same time, I also really love to know where my head is hitting the pillow at night. And so if you're traveling in your house, you can sleep wherever. But traveling the country, getting to explore this country has got to be super cool. And just having everything you need right where you are. And
it's amazing. So, and one of our things is, we were both corporate director level, burnout central, just getting our butts beat down every single day. So, taking this deliberate slow path across the United States has been amazing, and being able to travel in the RV is amazing because right now I'm at my aunt's house and we never have that burden. When you have house guests and you're like, oh my God, it's that first day, you're like, it's so great you're here. Then night 2, you're like, man, when are they leaving? I haven't been in their house in probably a week because we are in our home in their driveway. I've got solar. I've got, we are plugged in. It's just put to a regular plug on the wall, so I'm not running AC or anything, but excuse me. But yeah, it's an amazing way to travel. I highly recommend it. I wish I would have started sooner, but whatever, we didn't. And yeah, we're not going to do it forever, but it's definitely, it's knocking off a bunch of things on my bucket list that, we were at the Grand Canyon twice this year. And we're like, the second time we're like, we don't need to come back. We nailed this.
I feel good about this.
Yeah. And going to Bryce Canyon or Zion or, it's just one of those, we were in Moab for 3 weeks. We're like, all right, kind of bored. Who gets bored at Moab? It's this gorgeous place.
But maybe after 3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah. And I, we both work during the day. And so there is a little bit of, we're just kind of staring out at the desert where once again, we spent 4 months in Arizona over the winter, and we are from the Midwest. So we missed green, we missed water. In Arizona, everything is trying to kill you in some capacity. Oh, look at that beautiful flower. You go to touch it. Oh, it's the cactus, coyotes that numerous nights where there was a pack of coyotes like on top of the RV, like trying to get
Are
inside, and
you serious?
yeah.
Holy moly.
Javelinas, are you familiar with these animals? They look like wild
No.
pigs, but they're basically like really aggressive, like enormous rodents, essentially. That they're something that live in the desert, and yeah, I
Like
got to
the
see some of
rodents
them.
of unusual size?
Exactly. That's exactly. Yep. It's exactly what it is. So yeah, javelina. Being from Chicago, I was pronouncing them javelina. It turns out mispronunciation, but yeah, just we realized we weren't desert people, and we wouldn't have known that otherwise. Get to hang out in Arizona for 4 months, and you're like, I want to see a river. That's that
Right?
isn't like
There's no water
forested.
here.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and just like rain on a regular schedule and snow. Who knew I would miss snow? But it's just kind of this nice thing to, if like the fall is wonderful. You bundle up, you light a fire, but yeah, it's been an amazing trip so far. And yeah, we still have to hit the Northeast, which will be up your way in the fall, and then we'll end our travels in Washington State eventually.
Dude, fall in Maine is where it's at.
Yeah,
That's great
absolutely.
timing. Did your friend plan that on purpose in the
Then I
fall?
don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Good,
Oh,
good
did
on
we
them.
plan? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's yeah. No, fall. I'm just really excited though, because I honestly, I've gone to like Massachusetts, New York, Boston,
Mhm.
New York City a ton for work, but it's always fly in, do 36 hours, fly home. So to be able to do really slow roll, and I've already promised Ben and Jerry's in Vermont, and and kind of following the Great Lakes up, going to see Niagara Falls. I've never seen
Nice.
that, and just do that
Oh,
whole bit. And yeah, and we can take a slow, intentional journey, and it's our own schedule. So we just do it when it starts getting cold, and then we're heading south.
yeah. Wow. That does sound fun. It really does. I mean, I hate driving. I hate driving. I mean, I was in a car accident, so driving is a little iffy for me anyway, but I just hate being in the car for a long time. But part of it is like figuring out where to sleep and figuring out where to get gas and all that's, it's the like planning part. But again, like if your bed is right there,
Yeah,
your bed's
yeah,
right there, man. You can stay
yeah,
wherever you want. Because I hate the whole like, okay, the next gas station is, wherever, or, hotel or, stop is, 40 miles away or whatever. Um, and then, you just have to pace yourself to get there and make sure that you get where you need to. Yeah, I saw it. Um, but yeah, I think that sounds like so much fun. That sounds like so much fun. And Niagara is pretty awesome if
that's
you
awesome.
can if you can hit it not with everyone else.
Right.
but um but so tell me about let's see. So you're in an RV. Is it all tricked out? You said that you don't have air conditioning.
Yeah, so we have air conditioning. However, our generator, right, we bought a used RV. So to back up the purchase of the RV, we looked at how much our rent was going to be for 1 year in Asheville. We took whatever that was going to be, and we happen to have cash. So we purchased what that was our budget for buying an RV, which wasn't a brand new one by any means. So we have air conditioning. However, generator doesn't work, which is totally fine because when it did work, it was really loud and obnoxious. So you just travel north when it gets hot, and go south when it gets cold, and
Right.
just travel intentionally has been pretty great. And we're also, we tend to stop for a week minimum before traveling onward. So it's a V10. I'm getting like 7 miles to the gallon. We also have a Prius that we travel with,
Oh,
so it's something that we just really try to minimize. Minimize our footprint is hard to say when you're driving a V10
yeah.
gas, engine. However, we're not, using other utilities. Everything is off grid for the most part, aside from our engine. But
Right.
yeah, but we have air conditioning when absolutely needed. But it's something that we just try to stay in good weather. Like we just spent a week up in the UP of Michigan, and it was just perfect. It was like 90 degrees south, but up there it was like 74.
Oh,
And it was gorgeous. And we're camped right on Lake Michigan, free camping on this federal land, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah. I also love the idea of just staying wherever you like for as long as you want. Like, that's
Mm.
very cool. I love this place. I think I'm going to stay here for 2 months. That's very
Yep,
cool. And then you just, you work or you don't work, and that's very appealing.
I highly
Um,
recommend it.
yeah. And so you said you just started a year ago. So happy, what did you call it?
The Nomadiversary.
Nomadiversary.
Yeah, correct.
Happy Nomadiversary.
Thank you, thank you.
And so you said you have you have solar panels there, and you're like conserving water. Do you have water tanks in that?
Yeah, so we have 600 watts of solar panels on our roof, 300 amp hours of lithium batteries that all charges into. We can't run air conditioning, but pretty much everything else. Starlink, Elon Musk's internet is that we use, which works great as long as there aren't trees. We're in Michigan, a lot of trees, so it's a little rocky right now. 96 gallons of fresh water, which lasts us about a week. And I actually found a fun study that it's something like 80 to 100 gallons of water that every household uses a day, where there's two of us that use that in a week. So just, and also
Yeah.
being in the desert a lot, that we've just kind of learned to conserve as much as possible. And yeah, we just, we had to get rid of it's that moment, that mental clarity of what is important in life. And it turns out stuff wasn't important, that it was the experience that was important. So just chasing, these experiences and just feeling better about it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's so cool. And so it's you and your girlfriend and your pug. You've got your
Pug.
pug
Yep.
behind you,
Yep.
whose name is Bruce Lee. Everyone, Bruce Lee the
Yep.
pug.
Yep.
If he picks his head up, you might see him.
Yep.
Um,
I think he took off.
oh, he's like, you are boring,
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty
I have
much.
to listen to you all day long. Um,
Yep.
so living tiny, it sounds like a dream, really. It sounds almost like a fairy tale. You get to experience all the best of everything. Now, are there downfalls? Have you found any like cons to, I
Oh,
mean, other than
absolutely. Yeah.
space, but
Yeah, and honestly, the whole goal of this is to travel as much as possible, but we do want to find our forever home eventually. It is
right.
one of those where and I think Western Michigan is where we're pointed right now. But downfalls are uh, the kitchen is tiny and we both cook all the time. So it's something that, and we have one of those 3 burner. If you've ever been in an RV, they all have these little 3 burner stoves that you can get one pan on.
Right, right.
They
3
have these
burners, but the
dumb,
pots are like a mug.
yeah, exactly. And we have
Yeah.
like an enormous, pan that we cook a lot of stuff on. We don't have an oven, so we used to air fry a lot of stuff, which just I did that for Thanksgiving while we were on the road, and it just killed my batteries for like
Oh,
4 days. And it was also in the winter, so the sun was low, and they just could never rejuvenate, which or it just took a really long time for them to charge back up. So there's just some appliances, some electrical needs that would be ideal to have plugins on, and also just some sense of familiarity. I'm sure when you go to the grocery store, you know exactly where things are in certain aisles.
mhm.
We're in a new town all the time, so you're like,
Right.
even like Walmart and Dollar Generals, they're everywhere.
But they're all situated different.
All different, and you just go in like, I just need like, whatever. I need new coffee or something, and you're like, where's the
Where's
stupid
the
coffee
frickin'
aisle?
coffee?
Yeah, yeah,
Show
like
me the
dog food.
coffee.
Yeah, so just some of that is in having just some sense of not relying on GPS every single time you walk out the door. When we're in a place like Cottonwood, Arizona, I know that town like the back of my hand because we were there for 3 weeks. Not a lot to it. Ludington, Michigan, where we are now, know this town really well. But there is that sense though of like, it would be great to have some history here other than
Yeah.
we were here and then we're moving along. So I don't know.
Well, eventually. I mean, you were saying that this is kind of you're experiencing all these places, and you're also looking for where you're going to settle.
Correct, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's and so just to be able to say like, like Manhattan, Kansas, I've never been there before. We absolutely fell in love with that town.
Manhattan, Kansas?
Kansas, correct. It's the little apple. And we were watching some show, Somebody Somewhere, some like Netflix or Hulu or something, and it takes place in Manhattan, Kansas, and we just kind of fell in love with the show.
Huh.
And so we were like, and we were in somewhere in Kansas. We're like, oh my God, this is in Kansas. We got to go. And it turns out none of it's filmed in Manhattan, but whatever. But just, yeah, we really loved Kansas. Who knew? You know, Northeast Kansas is just this beautiful little area.
Oh, fun.
Bridges of Madison County in Iowa, another one where we're driving around like, this is amazing, you know, and just some parts of Missouri that really were amazing. Kansas City, I actually really liked. And I've adopted them as I'm a Chicago Bears fan, NFL guy, and I've adopted the Chiefs because at least they win. But yeah, they're just these little surprises all over the country where, you know, in a previous life prior to doing this, I felt like the country was very polarized, but it turns out when you get out there and you start talking to people, and sure, you know, everyone's got their flags they wave, but they're, at the end of the day, they're good people. They just have different beliefs and some things. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And there are downfalls every single day. You know, there's something wrong every single day, but you just kind of learn to overcome it. And I've got a great partner. I mean, Andrea, who, you know, knows I'm doing this, so she's cooking dinner right now, and vice versa, you know, and she's on stuff. And it's, you know, our relationship has grown so much as well because we're in such tight quarters. And some of the stuff we've come across is just insane, where you're like, can you believe that happened to us? And like laughing it off as opposed to getting mad at something, you know, or like disappointing yourself, and just kind of having a new perspective on life has been amazing, you know, going from corporate America to like self-employed. And there was a lot of scary things along the way, just, you know, quitting our jobs, selling all of our belongings, you know, basically everything we have can fit in a suitcase essentially. It's like,
that, you know, that's such a beautiful description, Michael. Like, really, this experience for you is helping you to walk through life differently. Like, you're experiencing people and the world differently because you've had this ability, this time to actually just be with people and learn about people and learn about their places, and like, and with your partner, like, you know, you have to be nice because she's right there.
Yeah.
You don't want to pick fights because she's right there.
Yeah. We have one door we can slam in the RV, and that was like, you know, just in case, like, that's the exclamation point when needed. We don't use it often, but it's there, you know.
Awesome. And so, as your self-employment, you said that you're a web designer.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was in corporate event planning for like 20 something years. I was a musician. I always designed the band's website. So I've been working in WordPress since like 2001 or I don't even know. 2008, we'll say. So I've always knew that. During COVID, working in events, I was furloughed as anyone else in hospitality. So I actually took a coding boot camp during that time. I'm not one that sits idle very well, so I'm constantly learning, constantly doing stuff. And then, yeah, I was director of this event company in North Carolina, and had no plans, no idea what I was going to do. And about 2 months in is when it hit me, like, I know how to do this. I just had never marketed myself for it. And I'm also pretty competitive. So I was like, let's do this. And now I'm booked solid through the end of the year, and, you know, kind of
oh my gosh,
have too much work, which is amazing.
So I shouldn't say, all right, folks, hook up with Michael.
Oh, no. Send him my way. Send him my way. Well,
all right, you guys, hook up with Michael. He's going to give us his deets, and I'll have it in the show notes, but you might have to wait till next year.
Yeah. But you know, it's one of those things. I also, because we have this life of leisure, I also am not working full-time hours. You know, I'm working, getting projects done, going out for a few days, and then coming back to it. So, you know, zero stress is the goal. Now, we talked pre this interview. I did have a website attack with malware yesterday. That was stressful, but you know, you get through it. You live and learn. Yeah.
Well, I mean, how do you fix that? Like, this is probably like a whole different conversation, but if you're hacked like that, like, what do you do how do you get out of that?
It's a lot of screaming. It's a lot of
Just screaming into the air, or
yeah,
like, do you
yeah,
have to
pretty much.
wait on the phone
Yeah.
with on hold for
No,
someone?
no. Fortunately, with WordPress, there are some ways to get in through the back end, and I develop a WordPress website, so it's you can get through the back end and you change a couple of lines of code, and you gotta basically kind of sneak back in, and that's what I had to do, and move your name servers. I don't want to go into nerd
Cool.
language here. Exactly. So you basically move some stuff around and go through,
Okay.
find the people, and
Beat them
yeah,
up,
yeah,
basically. Yeah, because that's what you want to do for sure. Just like,
yeah,
leave me alone.
yeah.
Um, can't you see I'm like in this Zen place right now? Why do you want to ruin that?
Exactly.
So tell me where are you guys really looking forward to going next? I know you're coming to Maine soon and New York and that stuff, but
Yep.
is there anywhere that you're really like, we have to hit this place?
Honestly, Maine is honestly the next big one to knock off the list. So that's it's just something that just to get up there, get up to the Northeast. There's a ton of national forest land up there, and we love. We have stayed in a lot of RV parks, but RV parks are like living in the suburbs. It's like cul-de-sacs and like but you're sandwiched on top of each other. It's like
Mhm.
riding the subway in New York City for camping, which isn't my scene at all. So the more we can get out and back immersed in nature is amazing. Honestly, we love our families dearly, but we're getting a ton of family time, and it's going to be great to like not be near anyone we know for a little bit. We still have about a month and a half left of family time, but it's yeah, just to go back and explore. But I'm really excited about the Northeast.
Yeah.
So that's the last, honestly, the two corners, and then Hawaii and Alaska. We already have a trip planned to Hawaii in March of 24. So it's, we're just trying to see as much as we can. But yeah, really excited about Maine though. And New
Okay.
Hampshire and
Yeah.
Vermont, just that whole corridor area.
Okay. I mean, if you're looking for like the solitude and not a town of RVs, I would recommend Cobscook Bay. It's in
Mm.
northern Maine, and it is there's a lot of solitude. Like we had a camping space with a red squirrel, a little cheeky red squirrel, but we were like overlooking the ocean or a harbor or something. I don't know, some body of water, and there, we could hear loons all night.
Mm,
And like the
I love
nearest
it.
outhouse was not anywhere nearby. Like I peed outside the tent because
Of course,
it's
Mother
dark.
Nature.
It's dark, and there's not. It's like a mile to the next place.
Right,
So
right. Well, and we really want to see a moose. So that's also one of the things. We don't want
okay,
to touch a moose. We just want to see a moose.
right.
you know?
I have not seen a moose in Maine, but I have not spent that much time north of where I am. Like we went to Cobscook Bay for a couple days. I've not seen a moose. I mean, I saw one on the side of the highway, but yeah, the first like actual moose I saw was in Alaska,
Oh, that's awesome.
like close up moose. But yeah, Cobscook Bay is beautiful. It's very foresty and on the water, and yeah, lots
That's
of
awesome.
places. Yeah, I can suggest a couple places, but yeah, and boy do we have water. Oh my gosh, we have had, out of the last 2 months, we probably had 45 days of rain,
Oh, wow.
where it's rain, not necessarily like rain all day, but there's rain. It's been crazy, but I'm
That's
not
good
complaining
for
because we don't have
growing,
fires. Yeah,
right?
yeah, just not a lot of sun for the growing,
Right, right. There's that. Yeah, that makes sense.
but it's very green. It's very lush.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I hope
That's
you're not
fantastic.
too far away. It'd be fun to hook up. I'd love to
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
meet Mr. Bruce Lee and you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but so this is really fun. It's such a different conversation. I love when the conversations go in a different direction than I was thinking. But so traveling gatherings, tell me about that.
Yeah, so traveling gatherings, so web designer with an event background. I knew I don't like, and I say I'm never going to work events again. I'm working an event coming up because it's a client that I couldn't say no to. But with that said, RVers or nomads as a whole, and there's a bunch of us. So there's 11 million registered, 11 million U.S. households that own RVs in the United States. Of that, 1.5% of them are full-time travelers. So we're looking at about 130,000 people that travel full-time in a vehicle of sorts. And in RV, I use a very broad term because that's what I'm in, a Class A RV. But then you've got your van lifers, you have your shuttle, school bus, schoolie folk. I met a guy who lives in his Tesla. I mean, it's guys that live on motorcycles. We met every single different type of traveler. There are all these different Facebook groups. There are all these different events, but there was no one place where one person could find them all. Something else that's really hard to find while traveling full time is like good local fresh produce. So part of that website is I'm running the website by myself, so it's a little outdated, not outdated, but just I can't keep up with it. But I'm putting in farmers markets throughout the country so that as travelers we can find that local produce. Also, just there's solitude. I actually have a presentation I'm giving to some summit coming up where it's like the thing no one talks about is it gets really lonely on the road, and to be able to find some sort of community, even if it's just passing through, and just being able to share experiences. We're a very unique group of people that travel full time, and so when we meet other full timers, it's like, oh my God, where have you been? What have you learned? Whatever. And there's a couple we met that they were on the road like 14 years or something, and just and you just hear these different stories and where they are in life, and it's just been great. So created this website that basically was the first of its kind. I mean, find something that's the first of its kind anywhere, especially around a website, that's really hard to locate. And everyone that's a full-time traveler have a YouTube channel, and I didn't want to do that. I've edited video. It's not my game. It takes way too long. So just kind of put the best of my abilities together into one platform and have it there. And it's been cool. I'm meeting all these event planners, like RV event planners, if you will, that are all over the country. And they're just good human beings that are just, it's fun to take the icky corporateness out of the events. And these are actual like gatherings where it's a bunch of nomads hanging out in the forest for 4 days, doing whatever they do. And it's been really cool. And it's something that, we've met some amazing people that we're keeping in contact with. And, it's, when I lived in Nashville, we had a couple of friends there. I didn't know any of my neighbors, and we had lived in one of those huge complexes of apartments. And the people we did know, we keep in contact with, but I didn't know any of my neighbors really. I knew their dogs' names, never knew their name. We're out on the road and we're meeting true awesome people. And it's, we're both in our 40s, and it's, the older you get, the harder it is to kind of have that socialization. Also, the harder it gets for me to actually like people, which is that too,
True story. Hence dogs. We know the dogs.
Yeah, exactly. But just, so I started the traveling gatherings out of necessity. And there's RV shows, there's, like say farmers markets. It's just find things to do while traveling around. And, every single city has its own little version of this, but this is catering towards that nomadic person that's out there. And it's been cool.
That's so cool. That is really cool. And it makes total sense. I interviewed a lady the end of last year, beginning of this year, maybe, she has an app. She developed an app. She's actually in Michigan. Her name is Tara, and she developed an app called Farmish. And her whole purpose was to connect people with farmers. Like, and it's really like aimed for, she really wants to support like the single moms or the home farmers that are just like feeding themselves, but they have extras. So they have like a little roadside stand. And so if they're on Farmish, you can go on Farmish and say, I'm in such and such, I'm in whatever zip code, like what's nearby me. So you can get like fresh eggs, or you can get, fresh vegetables, or, chickens or goats or whatever. When you get up to Maine, we don't really know about it, so there's not as much on there, but there are definitely a lot of people on there, and it's very cool. People are are learning about it. Like, and I just, and so you'd get to know these local people and hook up with them, which is really cool.
That's awesome. And I'm gonna, I'm on an 80-acre farm right now. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. All right. So yeah, my local neighbor and I are building this tiny house, and he is 3 years into farming. He's got 40 acres that he's farming on, but he's actually never. It's always been for his own consumption. Where he's about to build a farm stand, but I think I'm going to tell him about this. I'm going to see him right after this. So we're
Yeah.
putting on roofing today, but yeah, that's an awesome app. I love that idea.
Yeah. I mean, because there are so many, like, everyone can't be part of a farmer's market, and it's not like you might not have enough for a farmer's market. You might have a few dozen eggs or something like that, and you can post that. It's sort of like a Craigslist for farmers, that type of thing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so it's not just farmers markets, but it's the roadside stands, so you can meet the local people that are just doing it for whatever. I don't know.
Awesome.
I was so inspired by that, and I want everyone to know about it.
I love it.
But that's really cool. I love the idea of just connecting people, because I know you were saying finding community when you're a nomad. Like it must be a little different, especially when you're used to living in the city.
Yeah.
You're used to the bustle and people all around, and now it's just the two of you, and on the road. But that's great.
It's funny. I'm working on a website right now for a company in New York City, and I'm doing all this like research. And I've been to New York a ton, and I'm sitting on this farm looking over a horse pasture, and I'm like, I don't miss any of that at all. I mean, I miss the bodegas, like getting a good, they do these great salads and stuff. But I'm like, I don't miss city life at all. And I was a city guy for like my entire life.
Yeah.
Just one day wake up and be like, oh hell no.
Right.
Yeah.
Please don't make me go back there.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't have to. That's the best part.
Although Buffalo is pretty busy.
I'm sure. I do laugh when I go to cities and they're like, oh, traffic's real bad here. And I'm like, okay, Cleveland, settle down. It's not.
Yeah, see, that's me with Portland.
Okay, sure. All right. Yeah, when I moved to Asheville, everyone's like, oh, the traffic's horrible here. And I'm like, you're a city of... My neighborhood in Chicago is bigger than this entire city. Like, okay, sure it is. Then, but then a bear would walk across the street and die of traffic, Those are cooler traffic jams.
Right. Yeah. That's why you want the cars to stop, not the screeching halt because they're hitting another car or whatever.
Yeah.
For sure.
Less horns.
Yeah. So I am curious. So you said that you started this because you got laid off, and so you ended up just like selling everything. You're like, so you were in corporate, and now you're developing websites, which is something that you've been doing all along, but now you're doing it for real.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's cool. I mean, self-employment you can do it wherever, right?
Yeah, and I was self-employed for about 15 years, where I had actually gone back to corporate culture because I had reached my max of growth that I could personally do with the knowledge I had. So, and I've been very fortunate to work for owner operators where all small businesses, I would say 95% of the companies I work for were owned by women. So it was just this great, and I was in events. So like being a heterosexual male I was a minority, which, was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity. And just kind of learning from these really brilliant business owners, small business owners.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for my own education, and also because I needed to get smacked around a little bit and be like, no, this is how you do it for real, as opposed to me making my own rules. So I was eager to get back to self-employment. However, after making that transition to Asheville, it kind of made sense. It was like, keep it in corporate America, but then it was time to get out, and I'm glad I did. And I don't plan on going back by any means, because I feel like I can grow the thing now, and the insights I didn't have, I now have, and I can get it to a more sustainable level.
Right. And so you were saying that you are looking for a place to kind of settle down and start your own homestead.
Correct. Yeah. And the goal is, I love when people talk acres about looking at 5 acres, probably a self-build house, or a remodel of some sort. It's one of those where, and I think when we pull in, it's going to tell us that we're home. I in my mind, I have our own little set of parameters. Like, we definitely need to have water of some sort, just to look at, not even for drinking. But I've spending all the time in the desert. Land is really cheap out there, so I went into a wormhole. I'm a YouTube University graduate. No big deal.
No big deal.
But just rain harvesting is something that, I feel is underutilized in some of these, climates. And so I'm not afraid of taking raw land and living off of it in an off-grid way. Half of that we've obtained in the RV, and that's something else. We have our home with us. We don't have furniture. There's no storage locker with stuff in it.
Right.
Everything is here. So if we do get raw land, then we can just pull in, put in a septic is really, septic and water. And as long as it doesn't get too hot, we can live off grid. But yeah, the idea is, I'm not trying to do livestock or anything. My aunt, who's been living on this 80 acres for about 35 years, another Chicagoan who just like moved out to the middle of nowhere, and she had the pigs and the llamas. She had like 40 llamas at some point, all this stuff. And, we didn't see her for 30 years because she had all these animals to take care of.
Right.
So, and it's been great being here with her, because she's like, don't raise animals, because you'll never be able to leave, and I don't want something that's going to keep me trapped. Right. I do love the idea of chickens. I've got an uncle who's got, 5 chickens in the city. And those, they're pets, they're your children, but then they also give you eggs, which is great. But yeah, the idea is I don't want to slaughter anything. There are people that do that. I'm gonna let them do that. I'm squeamish. But picking a carrot out of the ground sounds pretty good. Another side effect of traveling is my girlfriend and I combined lost, I think, 70 pounds. She's down 40, I'm down 25, so 65 pounds. And that was just us first of all, not drinking 7 days a week, which we were doing because it's like, hey, tough day at the office, come home, crack a beer. We'd go through a bottle of wine with dinner just because, because it was there, and like, oh, I hate my job. I'm going to, but cutting out alcohol, eating organically, not going out to eat. So a lot of that, this positive mental and healthy change was totally a side effect that we didn't even realize was going to happen. And just through that, once again, that homesteading thing, it's like, the more we can eat organically and stuff that we know what's in it is really important. I don't know, are you familiar with Joel Salatin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I accidentally found him on YouTube and then bought his books, and now I'm like, not as loony.
Now we're besties.
yeah. Now he loves me. But like Justin Rhodes and So the Land, those guys were in Nashville, and I'd never met those guys, but I did get to go to a lot of the farms around that area, and just we got to go experience, these different places, and it's something that, like, and even here, I mean, last night I was working, just building and working around the farm, and I loved it. It's like I was stressed out from this malware attack, but then I got to swing a hammer and pull weeds and ride a tractor, and I'm like, that's what I want. I know what I like, and that's what I like. I don't mind the sweat equity at all. I don't mind.
We call that garden therapy.
Yeah, 100%. And there's something to it. It's like, there's just, it's this wonderful thing. So yeah, the idea of the homestead is a great idea. Now, we also do love going and getting cocktails. So it's got to have a good cocktail bar nearby. There's that city side of me still. But yeah, I just love the idea of, self-sustained as much as possible. We're not going to be one of those families that only eat what we grow. I mean, we do have jobs, and there's, we are going to buy. We do have Amazon accounts that our carts are always full, but we, conserve energy as much as possible, and being able to kind of transition that into whatever this future property is going to be amazing.
Cool. That's really cool. We just have an acre. We're on an acre, and I've been talking to my husband because he's always like, well, let's plant something on the outside of the land. Like, cause I have a jam business. And so I'm like, let's plant some more fruit or, whatever. And he's like, well, let's do it on the outside of the land. I'm like, why don't we just plant it in the middle of the yard, like where it's sunny, and you don't have to mow as much.
Right. Right.
like like the I forget what it's called, but when your lawn is your garden,
Yeah.
like why not do that? Then you don't have to mow. You've got more time because you're not mowing.
Yep.
So
100%.
we're gonna talk about that one.
No, and honestly, an acre, my folks have an acre outside of Madison, Wisconsin, and talk about like, all my stepdad does is mow the lawn every week. And he's like, I gotta mow the dang lawn again. I'm like, how about putting in some like trees and like grow some stuff, And he's just not, granted, he's, it's different mindset, but I'm like, there's a ton of real estate on that land that you can take full advantage of.
Right.
And I don't know, I'm a big supporter of, grow.
Yeah, I say fill it up. That's my vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so Michael, this has been amazing. Like I really I love when the conversation goes in a different direction than I planned. But when I say the word sustainability, what does that mean to you? And I know it's a big word, but that's why, I want to know, for
It's
you personally.
A lot of syllables. I did go to public school, so you have to bear with me. No, I think sustainability, it's just, don't protect Mother Nature. We have to be able to protect the Mother Nature for future generations, and whatever small steps we can make today to keep that going, I think it's mandatory. First of all, we have to do it. I don't have children. I'm glad I don't, but
Somebody does.
Somebody does. Take care of the land.
Right.
Let's not take more than we're able to take right now. And every national forest I go to, pack it in, pack it out. Like, just keep it clean. And I don't know, just we live in such excess. We don't need that. We don't need all this stuff. And that's like the biggest thing, tiny living. I once lived in a 3,500 square foot house by myself. And then I'm now in 188 square feet with someone else and a dog.
You're proving it. You're proving it. You don't need all the stuff.
You don't need it all. And it's super uncomfortable at first. But when you start, when we started this journey, going back to sustainability, it's like every single day our rule was get rid of 3 things. And that could be as small as extra forks, or like, or as big as like, we have 2 air mattresses for no reason that have holes in them. It's like, give them to a homeless shelter we had the patch kits. We just never got around to fixing them. It's like, get rid of the less stuff, less junk, more journey. There's a YouTube channel out there for that. But it's all about just downsize. And, the McMansion is great for somebody, but that person's not me. Just knowing, how much energy it takes to run less than 200 square feet. I don't need that extra space. If I need extra space, I'll go outside. It's like, go and just be in nature. Go get the sunlight hitting your eyes, put your toes in the grass. It's like, it feels amazing. This is coming from, I was such an urbanite, like you would never catch me dead, leaving the city limits of Chicago.
But everything's right here.
Everything's right there. I could walk to everything. And I just had that epiphany of like, this isn't, every day was a hustle. Every day, everyone's out to try to get something over on you. You get out of the city, and people are still doing that. I also have that, in the back of my head, like, oh, I know this hustle. Like, oh, hell no, But just use less and just enjoy life more.
Yeah,
that's awesome. My version of sustainability.
Less stuff, more journey. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But did you learn all that about the soil and taking care of the earth from Joel and Justin?
I did not mention this, but my family are a bunch of hippies from Chicago. So since I was like born, my mom has had Mother Earth News magazine in our house, and we looked at Earth Shelter Homes back when I was like, in 10 or something. So she kind of had it in my head, but single mother, we couldn't leave the Chicago area just for job opportunities and things of that nature. But, we went camping, tent camping all the time growing up. But it was, it's always kind of been there, but that definitely was the final nail in it of like, okay, I got to do this. and the fact that you can monetize it too. I'm a capitalist hippie in some regards. So it's like, if I can make this self-sustaining, some property in some regard, either getting food from it or, being able to produce something I can then sell, like chickens, having eggs I can sell to neighbors. Yeah, I think it's great. I love it.
Did Rudy just inspire you?
Yeah. Yeah. We just cleaned out the chicken coop today, actually, outside. They had like 40 at some point. Now there's 0. So it's kind of sad.
Now there's 0.
Yeah.
Oof.
They're getting them. My aunt and uncle they're in their 70s. So as things die, they're like, okay,
Yeah. What did they do with 30 llamas? Like, what do you do with that many llamas?
So
they don't like provide milk?
I think honestly it was just 4-H. They've got a great fairgrounds here, so they did a lot. So my aunt was did a lot of mental health work with kids. Okay. So it would take kind of, a lot of kids from Chicago would come up here for the summer, and she would, she's kind of a tough as nails, lay down the law, and they'd go back being polite children, because she's like, oh, you think I think you're a tough guy, huh? Well, here's the thing, you're not. Go
say hi to this llama.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that, and then make them, work them 14 hours a day, and kind of break them a little bit. And then
they're going to run back home and be so grateful to be there.
Yep.
Yeah. Or they're going to stay.
Yeah.
That it's like a make or break, right?
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
So yeah, I forget what else she had. And they tried pretty much everything here. And yeah, the only thing that's here prevalently, they have 2 horses, and we have deer like all over the place. So it's kind of fun.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, so Michael, if somebody is just like totally jazzed by this and they want to learn more about, being a nomad, or if they need a website, or they want to, or if they are a nomad and they want to hook up with traveling gatherings, how can people find you or follow you?
Yeah, so travelinggatherings.com is the RV Nomad website. It is, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, all at Traveling Gatherings. And then if you would like any website web design done, it is thatandersenguy.com. I'm also everywhere on the internet at thatandersenguy. Andersen is with an S-E-N, like Hans Christian Andersen. But yeah, you can find me. Those are our 2 spots. And if go to either one of those, you'll also be able to find Bruce. He has his own Instagram page, because
oh my gosh,
he has to,
because he's a pug, and you just have to. Yeah,
exactly.
Right?
And we follow Doug the pug, and we're like, okay, we gotta get Bruce a pug, So yeah, he's Bruce Lee the pug _RG.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen, I have way too many animal pages that I follow, but there's one, I forget the dog's name, but it's Iggy something. So he's like a greyhound, and he's got big, like, he just always shows his teeth. And they're just, oh my gosh, so cute. I'll try to find it and send it to you.
Yes, please do.
It's really fun.
I love it.
We need more mindless things to do.
Yeah. And I also
anyway.
bought BruceLeeThePug.com, actually. So yeah, he has his own website. I've totally forgot I made him his own website.
You're a website designer. Of course you did.
Right. I was like, I think we had mimosas for brunch or something. I'm like, and I'm like sitting at somewhere on our travels, and I just hit GoDaddy. I have like, I punched all those things on the membership card there, and I'm like, BruceLeeThePug.com's available. Bye. And then like that afternoon, I had a website built. I'm like, okay.
I'm feeling silly. Let's give the dog his own website.
Yeah. And with ChatGPT, we have articles written from his voice, which is pretty hilarious. So
from his voice. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I forget. Oh my God. I forgot I had blogs on there too. Yeah. That's my life. Come to me with dumb ideas, and I'll totally run with it.
Careful what you ask.
Yeah.
I got dumb ideas for days.
I love it. Yep.
All right, Michael, this has been so much fun. I've loved getting to know you, and I love your story. I think that's amazing, and I would love to meet you when you guys come to Maine.
Absolutely.
That'd be super fun. We're only 40 minutes from Portland.
Yeah, we got to be driving by, right? I don't know. I'm looking about really.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. So you guys have his deets, and I will put that in the show notes. But thank you so much for listening today, and hook up with Michael.
Thank you so much, Amy. This has been awesome.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment and thank my guest again for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I also need to thank Buzzsprout for hosting this podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her amazing music genius, for Becca Coffron and her beautiful artwork. And I'd like to thank you for listening. Please check out the show notes. I'm going to have links posted in there if you would like to follow this guest and learn more about them. Thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, get there from here, 'cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness, we'll heal the hate with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder,